Hello random people on the internet, my name is Banana, and today we got some insane news about Skyblock 1.0, which is still a while out, but it is some very interesting talk about like the design of what they're gonna do for the update, and just some insane news of all the stuff that's coming up that they're announcing. So if you enjoy this video, or if it keeps you informed, I would really appreciate a subscription, because not that many people that watch my videos are actually subscribed. It's free, you can undo it later, and you know, it is the best way to support me, so I would appreciate it a lot. But let's get right into all of this insane Skyblock news. All of this news comes from a J of Armin tweet where he basically says, hey, we're designing 1.0. We're still not anywhere near making this, but we want to give a conversation. We want to have a bunch of people talk about all of the different things that are coming in 1.0 over the next coming weeks. So he posts a couple threads. He posts 2 threads right now, and these threads are insane. They're giving a lot of details about future updates. And it even is showing that we're going to have just many more of these threads down the line. So basically, he just says, to be clear, they're working on 3 large island projects right now and a couple other spicy updates that are going to come out between now and 1.0. But depending on player feedback, they may implement parts of 1.0 in the next few months. So the 2 threads are here, and we're going to look at the first one, which is described as the hub of all of the discussion threads, and just an intro to the design in 1.0. So the first thread is actually talking about what 1.0 is and why they are doing it. They're talking about all the things that they have learned in Skyblock, and they want to just put it into practice. They want to update every single aspect of the game to make it as good as it possibly could be. They don't want 1.0 to kill Skyblock. They want Skyblock to reach its full potential with 1.0. So they want it to be just a huge update. And they're going to have a lot of surveys and a lot of communication, it seems, with the changes that they want to make, why they want to make these changes. And just the design process is basically being streamlined to the community and being told to us, which is absolutely huge for Skyblock updates. We haven't seen a Skyblock update really get talked to like the players before it's coming out, where they're like, hey, is this a great idea? I mean, we've been seeing it more and more recently, but it seems like this is going to be the most insane amount of communication that the admins have done in a while, because looking at what J of Armin shows here, he has a list of 1.0 design threads, and even right now, there is 7 design threads that are announced for dates that they're going to happen. There's also a to be determined if there's going to be more than 7, but 7 threads, a bunch of them with release dates right now. There's the initial thread that we're reading in this moment. There's the skills thread, which we're going to get to later in this video. And then 2 days from now, they're going to release a private island and Skyblock levels thing. Then they're going to do minions and collections. Then playing alone, playing together, a few small ideas. This is awesome. This is some insane stuff that we're seeing. So much communication about so many aspects of the game. This just gets the tiny little game designer in my mind just hyped, because they're just talking about so many different things about the update. So expect a lot of videos about each of these threads to help keep you guys up in the conversation. Definitely do check out these threads by yourself, but I will be covering all of them because that's what I do. I read forum threads. But this initial thread, they're going to talk about the global vision of Skyblock. They want to talk about 3 different aspects of it, and I'm going to take you through each of those right now. I lied, it was 4 aspects, but now we're going to read through them. Step 1, they're looking at the social aspect. They want the game to be more positive socially, because there definitely is a good amount of toxicity in the game. There's people talking just in all chat being super rude or just spamming their IRL trading links. So they want to enhance the positive aspects of the game. They want to remove and change mechanics that cause toxic behaviors, and they want to ensure you are happy to see other players around you during normal play. This makes sense. This is something that I feel like they already did with removing item drops, because item drops were a bit annoying sometimes. People would run up, throw onyxes, boats, just a bunch of non-stackable items at you, and be really annoying. So removing something that people can just do toxically is great, and ensuring that you're happy to see other players, that's something that I just enjoy. Like, if you look back towards the beginning of Skyblock, when you would just be running around in the lapis mines and someone would give you a lapis piece that you didn't have, and then you'd shift at each other adorably, that's awesome. So increasing the social aspect and making it just more positive is something that's going to be great for the game. The next aspect is creativity. They're basically talking about how islands allow players to express themselves, but they want builds and just player experiences to be a bit more different and not just down this linear path where you get a Hyperion as your healing item, you get a Terminator, and then you run Necron armor. I definitely do really want to see this aspect of the game. I was hoping that dungeons would bring it more into the game where there is a different aspect of like armor and routes that you take, but still pretty much everyone's running the same thing except for the tank at this point, and I think that's because a lot of the items are balanced to be way better than other items. So if they're going to make the different aspects of the game have actually good things that people can run and you can look at them and be like, wow, they're good at the game, but they don't have exactly what I have, I think that that is awesome. I really hope that they do allow people to be more creative and let their personality shine through their builds. The next part is something that I'm sure a lot of people are happy to see that they're looking at, and that's progression. Everyone who plays Skyblock enjoyed playing Minecraft Survival in the past, but it can be a bit frustrating right now to progress in Skyblock. It can just be a bit annoying. Some things are very grindy, some things are not that useful. A lot of progression can be skipped in Skyblock, so they want to make progression be more rewarding. They want to make you actually want to get your skills up, to get every single stat up rather than just getting combat. And then if there is grindy content in the game, it should have an interesting aspect that can appeal to some or many players. So Foraging 50, for example, is very grindy, and well, I enjoy it just because I sort of like the competition of it. The grand majority of Skyblock does not find a single aspect of foraging actually enjoyable, so it's definitely something that should be looked at. And a large focus of 1.0 is going to be put on global progression, making sure it's clearer and meaningful. They then ask if you like the current progression at Skyblock and which parts do you consider underwhelming. Every single one of these has questions underneath it that they want you to answer, so definitely leave them in the comments here or go leave them on the forum post themselves because they really are looking for feedback. The last aspect is talking about how Skyblock is an economy-based game. At its core, it has a coin-based economy, and most items can be sold or traded, and it created many issues, they've said, but they do believe that the economy is still a vital aspect of the game. They're not going to delete coins from the game. There should be limitations, they said, on the economy to make the progression of the game more interesting, but the market should become an official part of progression with new interesting features. I'm interested in this. This is very definitely questionable in the current day because coins are being added to the game so quick with gemstone mining and with all the new money methods that have existed in the game. So a lot of people are getting a lot richer, and I'm interested to see what kind of new limitations and features they're going to throw on the market. I don't know if that means trading itself, the auction house, the bazaar, or just all of them. I don't know. They're very just vague with the market changes, but I'm interested to see that. Obviously, they then ask, what parts do you enjoy or dislike? And that's pretty much it for the first thread. They're just going over the 4 aspects that they really want to dig into in this update. So definitely go on that forum post and talk about all of those things. I'm going to repeat that over and over, but they need your feedback more than ever because they want this game to be poggers, and if you don't respond to them, it could not be poggers. So that's the first thread, but now we're going to look at the first actual thread that isn't just the introduction to it, and that is talking about the favorite thing of every single Skyblock player, for sure, 100%, skills. So this thread is ginormous, and it's talking about the entirety of skills and what they have done with them and what they still plan on doing, because when Skyblock came out, they say that they didn't expect skills to be a big thing. They expected it to be unlock an island and give small, meaningful rewards if they wanted to invest themselves into an activity in the game, but then everyone just started grinding skill average, and that's one of the main grinds that people do in the game. So they have been very, very rapidly trying to add them to like content. They've been trying to add more things for every single skill, such as item requirements, unlocking content, commissions only in mining at the moment is what it says, which means that we're probably getting commissions for other skills. And they do talk about that later. They also added skill trees, Heart of the Mountain, you know. They revamped enchanting and fishing. I don't remember a full fishing revamp unless they're talking about the pre-end update fishing, like, sea creature thing. But those did get some pretty big changes, and then they added content and variety of gameplay, such as Jacob's Contest. They said that they're happy with the outcome of these changes, but they still definitely do not like where they are at with a lot of skills. They said that they managed to improve mining and believe it's in a healthy spot. Many other skills are repetitive in progression and don't unlock interesting gameplay aspects. So the question is, what exactly should a skill be? This is very true in my opinion. I think mining is in the best spot skill-wise. Leveling it feels meaningful. Leveling your Heart of the Mountain actually does something. The progression through Heart of the Mountain adds just so much variety in your mining gameplay where you're not able to just skip things by buying on the auction house. So I think mining is in a great spot. I think combat as well is in a not so terrible spot, but every other skill is debatably not that good. I think mining unlocks so much in the grand scheme, and every other skill pretty much is mainly useful inside of the skill itself, or it's useful for just like the strength foraging gives or the health that farming gives. So hopefully they can revamp every other skill and make them a bit better. They then go on to talk about what they think a skill should be. They say that they believe that every skill should have variety of gameplay. It should feel like playing a different minigame from one to another. And this is definitely something that I feel like has been achieved a little bit more and more with each update that they do to the skills, but it's definitely not at that point yet when it comes to the differences between foraging and farming. The only difference in those skills is that one is done on your private island with farming blocks and one is done with wood blocks. So making sure that there is a difference in every skill is something that they want to do more, and I'm definitely excited for that one because that will mean that each skill is more and more unique because it won't just be breaking blocks most likely. The next thing is talking about global progression, which is something that I talk about a lot when it comes to skills, and I think I've even mentioned it in this recording so far, and that's that some skills right now are in their own bubble. Fishing unlocks fishing progression, but pretty much nothing else. You could argue the Soul Whip is unlocked via fishing, and that's good for some combat grinding, but fishing itself is not useful outside of fishing itself. So they want to make it so that the whole game can progress to something else and that each aspect of the game adds to the actual global progression. They don't want it to be mandatory to grind the skill, but it definitely should have some really cool things. They said, for example, if sea creatures were dropping important alchemy ingredients, players who fish would now be able to trade those drops with players who prefer to do something else. Anything that is tradable without requirements isn't locked content. So they want to add just different aspects to each skill that's going to help it progress outside of the skill. If you look at something like mining, I think mining has a lot of good progression items in the Heart of the Mountain Forge area. If we go into here, there's so many different aspects of the game that are helped just through Heart of the Mountain. The Ammonite is a great example. This is a pet that is basically based on your mining stuff. It bases your fishing speed off of your mining level. It bases your sea creature chance off of your Heart of the Mountain level, but it's going to help you with fishing. So this is going to be great for other aspects of the game. Another thing that mining does really well is the gemstones. The gemstones are going to be assisting you in combat or in literally any of these things. So I think that mining has some pretty good non-bubble progression, and seeing that kind of stuff be put into other skills will be very, very refreshing and make it more worth to go and get your farming up or to get your fishing up. The third aspect of a skill is that they want every skill to be fun and make sure that everyone's enjoying their time. They said that they're not going to lock content behind something that isn't actually entertaining, and that's why foraging gives nothing because they think it's not entertaining enough. And I can definitely see that argument. Foraging is just going and breaking trees in a circle and fighting other people for those trees. There's not a unique gameplay aspect that's making every single person who's foraging just have an amazing time. So why would they bother adding stuff to it? Because no one's going to want to do it anyways. So that's a great thing that you can tell that they're focusing on, which is making things entertaining before forcing people to do them. Fourth, they talk about how they want more progression within a skill. They look at farming a lot in this and basically say that players building these large, ugly farms on their private islands shouldn't be a requirement. They shouldn't have to go and do this. Back in the early days of Skyblock, cactus farms were the best money method in the game. If you just had an AFK cactus farm that was like humongous, you made so much more coins than someone who wasn't AFKing their island on cactus. But they nerfed this because the most efficient way to play the game shouldn't include the boring aspect of like building farms. So the best way of farming in their eyes shouldn't be to mine one singular crop from level 10 to 60 with no interesting mechanics in between. A potential change that they suggest for this is pretty interesting. To ensure that everyone doesn't have to build these massive farms, they're going to unlock a garden at farming level 10. It's still possible to build large farms, however, they said that the garden is much more convenient and has a way more interesting progression. Inside the garden, you can unlock new types of crops and ways to farm them. On their way to level 60, they might change their farming method 10 times without much effort. And even when a player reaches 60, if they wish to keep farming, they would have interesting choices. The garden is basically a second private island, but with a focus on making those farms happen. This is amazing. This is so good for someone who hasn't built farms or even people who have built farms, because farming is literally going in a straight line while holding left click right now after spending hours building your sugarcane farm. So making it not that is so cool. They said that for progression, another issue is how skills are ruining how other skills should be progressed through. At this time, one player could progress all the way through a skill of their choosing, make money from it, and buy the late game gear for any other skill on the market board. While mastering a skill should help you in general for other skills, it shouldn't be a straight up bypass. And then they want to add skill requirements to gear like combat has, allowing players to progress through skills in the normal way. This is something that is very noticeable in farming and in foraging, I would say. So seeing that progression get changed to where maybe you have to be foraging 25 to get a tree capitator, or maybe the like mythic rarity hose take a bit of farming level or carrot collection or something like that. Adding these requirements would make the progression in each skill just so much better. And I think that these are some great suggestions for changes. I love the progression changes that they're suggesting, because farming is awful because you have to build the farms. Foraging is awful because everyone has the max setup because it's so cheap and there's no requirements and it's just gross. So seeing both of those things get changed could hopefully revitalize those skills and make them just a little bit better. The last aspect of a skill that they talk about is that they should all be rewarding. Skills should reward players. There is a lot of skills right now that basically give nothing. They said that the coins are pretty dumb. They're pretty not like good. No one actually wants to grind for them. They like the time that people spend going from 1 to 50 in a lot of the skills, and they want to aim for a similar duration in 1.0. Any progress above 50 would be mostly, but not entirely, cosmetic, rewarding the most dedicated players. So I don't know if that means that they're going to change the rewards from combat like 51 to 60, or if they're going to keep them as minimal as they are, because if you look at combat's rewards, it only goes up 1% per level, so it's not a huge increase. But definitely changing the coin rewards would be pretty nice. These are pretty bad, and they definitely want to not end up in the position where adding more skill levels means players become absolutely overpowered or cause someone to not like a specific skill. The TLDR of this thread is that basically each skill should have fun and diverse gameplay. Every skill should participate in global progression. If they think that a gameplay aspect of a skill is too niche or just not fun, the part of the content that it is helping global progression with should be tradable. So they definitely don't want people to be forced to just go do the most boring things. They also want people to go on a journey to mastery with progressions within the skill and new ways to progress every few levels. New options should be offered. This is just amazing to see. I'm just so happy for these changes. And lastly, it's important to keep the rewards and income capabilities of skills more balanced between each other. faster. Right now, mining makes like 30 to 40 million coins an hour, and foraging makes you like 300k an hour. So I'm glad to see that, and the rewards of each skill being brought in line with each other mean that every single player who grinds a specific skill is going to have a much better time and a much better reason to go for their specific skill. The last things that they talk about is some examples of things that might be changed in 1.0. They said that commissions might be added to multiple other skills, and they could be introduced on earlier mining islands. So that is pretty cool. Commissions are pretty much just, they're a nice grind. They're a nice way to sort of change the things that you're doing. You're not mining mithril in one spot. You're doing different aspects of the skill itself. So I like that idea. The commissions are very fun. They might add a skill tree similar to the Heart of the Mountain in other skills. I sort of expected this in something like the foraging update. I think that the skill tree is one of the best grinds in the game when it comes to just how long it takes to progress and how rewarding it is to actually level it up. Having Mining Fortune 2 leveled up is an insane increase, and something like Titanium Insanium level 50 compared to not having it at all is so beneficial in the Dwarven mines. So having this skill tree and other skills could be awesome. It might get repetitive if they add it to too many, but I think in something like foraging or something like farming, a skill tree would definitely be really cool. They're going to change the leveling rewards of skills, and coin rewards suck, and the stats and perks might change or be transferred over to the skill tree. So those are both some pretty cool things. They want to change the most efficient way to progress through a skill, and they want it to imply a lot of item progression and gameplay changes. They want most skill items to have item requirements, sea creatures dropping rare alchemy ingredients, which means that they're revamping alchemy, and thank God alchemy is terrible. This one's huge. They talk about the new Foraging Island, and the main gameplay aspect is still going to be cutting trees, but they're going to add a very unique twist which will appeal to some players. This island and foraging as a whole will be the best place to obtain the best cloaks in the game. More on cloaks in a later thread. What? I have no idea what a cloak is going to end up being. The only thing in Skyblock that I can currently think of that has the name cloak in it is a wither cloak sword, but I don't think that they'll go that route. There are the cloaks in the hub, like in the actual hub, that are basically like floating capes behind you, but I don't know how they're going to implement that in Skyblock. Adding that to foraging though, pog. I love foraging. I can't wait for that. The next change they talk about, a portal to the garden will be obtainable. They talk about the garden before. I've already talked about it. Don't need to go over that one too much. And last but not least, they say that unused items in collections will be tweaked to provide And last but not least, they talk about how unused items in collections will be tweaked to provide progression and new gameplay options in some skills. They talk about cactus armor, mushroom armor are technically farming armors, but they provide no farming gameplay at the moment. They want each collection to provide interesting options while progressing, but also potential mid to late game gameplay. Whew, that is a lot of stuff. This video is probably so insanely long, but this is just an insane forum post, and I felt like I had to go over it with you guys just to show you that the admins are talking to us. That's it for now. They said come back in a couple days for the next design thread on private islands and skyblock levels. I'm interested to see if that means that we're getting like a unique like Bed Wars Star-esque thing in Skyblock where we're getting levels in there. That's going to be hype. They leave a survey at the bottom and tell you to go fill it out. I filled it out. It's basically just saying, do you like mining things? Do you want them in other skills? And then they're basically asking about just the progression in each skill, how you feel each of them are when it comes to speed and fun and just a bunch of stuff. So definitely go to the forum thread below, fill out the survey. And that's going to be it for today. I hope that you guys stuck around. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm so sorry that it was this long, but there was so much info. Expect a video on the private island and skyblock levels thread whenever that comes out. But thank you for watching. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace out.